Kellen Moore, he agreed to terms with the Chargers. Don't forget, Moore's departure from Dallas is being called mutual. Shannon, what does this tell you that the Cowboys moved on from Kellen Moore and the Chargers snapped him up so fast?
Well, tell me the Chargers abided by the Rooney Rule. That's what I want you to tell me first. Oh, okay, we'll discuss.
You got me.
Skip, we'll discuss that at another date and time.
Yeah.
The Cowboys keep wondering why. Why did our season end in disappointing fashion? Or you think it was because of Kellen Moore? Is that what y'all really think? Y'all really think?
Apparently they do.
So I want to know, tell me what role the quarterback played. I saw against Washington, 26-6. He was awful. That was awful. And I've been saying since like week 7, week 8, week 9, the Cowboys, if I'm y'all, I want to stay in the 5th spot because I want to get Tampa. That's a bad team. And y'all are set up perfect to beat the brakes off them. True enough, it holds firm. They weren't able to catch the Eagles. Beat the brakes off Tampa Bay. Another bad football team.
How did Kellen's offense look that night?
Dak threw for 300 yards. How many touchdowns? Like 3?
Yeah, had a QBR of 97, scale 0 to 100.
Now,
played the game of his life. I don't know how.
We go to San Francisco.
Yep.
And the final play notwithstanding. I get the final play, lining Zeke up at center. That makes no sense to me. But hell, you ain't got a hillbilly heartbeat chance of winning that game anyway. Skip. Dak was awful. It wasn't the plays that were called. He just flat out threw the ball to the other team. And then when he did have guys open, he overshot them. That's not on Kellen Moore. 4 years that he's been the OC. You're second in points, second in yards to Kansas City. Look at all the quarterbacks in the league over that time. Look at all the offenses, and you're second. And somehow Kellen Moore, because Jerry had these expectations, Jerry Jones has put off. He seemed like he got more expectation for Kellen Moore than he got for his damn quarterback. Because it seems to be at some point in time, you got to come to the realization, it's your quarterback. And in big moments, he hadn't played well. Not well enough. I shouldn't say he hadn't played well, but he hadn't played well enough in those big moments. And that is the difference. What makes quarterbacks top 10 and all these guys is that in big moments, you got to play well. And Dak hadn't played well. Skip, you look at the Eagles. You look at the last 3 teams that represent the NFC in the championship game. What did they do in free agency? Spin out the yin-yang. What did the Eagles do? Go get Hassan Reddick. They go get Bradbury.
They did.
They made they make additions. You look at the Rams the year before. These are effed up picks. The year before that, Tampa. But Jerry, you keep on. But you gonna learn soon enough. Now, Jason Garrett got gone. Kellen Moore got gone. The one common denominator that's still there is your quarterback. Now, if you don't get it done, who you gonna fire next? Mike McCarthy. Okay. You tell me you gonna call plays. All right.
So, unfortunately, I'm now picking the Los Angeles Chargers to get to the Super Bowl next year. And if they have to go through Arrowhead, I believe they'll do it because I think Kellen Moore, with the change of scenery and a quarterback who, by the way, had the 7th lowest interception rate last year, Justin Herbert, and a running back in Austin Eckler who led the NFL with 18 touchdowns. And
look at those receivers he got: Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. They got a nice core receivers over there.
They ranked 30th in running the football. Kellen Moore will change that because he's a 50-50. He can be even a little better. He will figure out he will show them how to run the football. It's a match made in Super Bowl heaven. I hate to see him go. I'm shell-shocked and devastated by it, but it is now clear to me that Mike McCarthy won the power struggle with Kellen Moore. Not that Kellen was fighting back. They wanted Kellen to get the Carolina Panthers job because then it would have been a clean out for him. You know, it would have been happy ever after for everybody. But when he didn't get it, they were forced to, they fired him. I'm sorry. They just let him go. However you want to say it, it was not mutual. They just let him go. Mike McCarthy wanted to call the plays because he did it for 13 years in Green Bay. And to his credit, when he took the Cowboy job, he didn't have a lot of leverage, but he readily agreed, okay, we'll keep Kellen as the play caller. And I think it was hard on his ego, and I think he has an increasingly bigger ego because he showed up for the game at Lambeau this year wearing a Vince Lombardi big old long fur coat. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
He was going Lombardi, trudging around out, parading around out on the frozen tundra before the game.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he's something, and he thinks he is a great play caller, and I will give him this. Once upon a time, in his first, 4 or 5 years, his reputation was that he was one of the better play callers. Of course, he's calling plays for Brett Favre and then Aaron Rodgers, and it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Right?
You got two guys that got 7 MVPs between the two of them.
There you go. So I know Bob Sturm, writing in The Athletic, who's very good on writing about the Cowboys, said that the offense had grown, that it had clear and obvious limitations. It had become simple and stale.
Yeah.
I can't see it. I'm sorry. I didn't see that.
Yes, you got limitations. You got a back that's averaging 1.2 yards a carry.
That's a big
And he can't outrun me or you for 10 yards.
Correct.
And look at the receiving core. You traded Amari Cooper and you got Noah Brown. You get a guy off of his couch at 33 years of age in T.Y. Hilton.
Yep.
And then Jalen Tolbert, who you selected in the 3rd round, couldn't even dress.
Couldn't play.
So you're going to talk about what is he working with? You giving him grocery from 3 weeks ago, and you say, okay, make me something special.
Yep.
With what? With rotten fruit and veggies? Come on, man.
Over Kellen Moore's 4 years, he missed 17 starter games at quarterback. So 17 times Dak couldn't play.
Yeah.
And guess what he did with the various Andy Daltons and Cooper Rushes, especially this year with Cooper Rush. As you know, he went 4-1 with Cooper Rush and kept them afloat. Kellen had a whole lot to do with that.
Skip, other than CD and maybe Pollard, what skill position player can go somewhere else and start? Noah Brown going anywhere? T.Y. Hilton? Jalen Tolbert? Come on, man.
Dalton Schultz probably.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I'm not saying he's top tier, but he's pretty good, and he has a great wavelength with Dak.
Well, he seemed to be on with Dak because he didn't have no wavelength with Cooper Rush.
No, he did not. He was a no-show with Cooper Rush. He ghosted him.
And so I'm looking. It's easy, and I get it, Skip. We got to find a reason why our $40 million investment is not paying dividends. Whew. Well, maybe it's the investor, because you're like, well, who's telling him? No. Look no farther than Dak. Dak hasn't played well in big, meaningful games. He hasn't. The guy missed 5 games. He tied for the league in interceptions. He's like, Jerry, I know you don't want to admit it because you come out and say that's not in his DNA, but it is. Mm-hmm. It is.
Look, Mike McCarthy has become like a brother-in-law to Jerry. And Jerry loves loyalty, and he loves family, and he's treating McCarthy like family. And he said, it's time for you to call the plays. The problem with that is Mike McCarthy is going to revamp the whole thing. You're going to have to throw out all of the Jason Garrett, Kellen Moore, because they were sort of intertwined.
Correct.
All the terminology, everything, you're going to have to start it over in the offseason.
Correct.
At the OTAs. You got to start cold.
You're starting from scratch.
From scratch. It's hard, man. And I don't love their chances of trying to pull that off, because you can dress up Dak so many ways, but in the end, it's just Dak. You can try this, you can try that, you can put him over here, and you can do this offense and that offense, and he's still Dak. I've seen enough. I'm with you. Yeah. 7 years is a long body of work. All I know is when he was protected at Tampa against a mediocre defense with no pass rush, he put on a show.
Yes.
He played the game of his life because he's capable of doing that. But when you need him, when you most need him to rise and shine against a very good, you could argue the best defense at their place, Kellen Moore called plays that twice had CeeDee Lamb deep open. Twice. I can show you the plays. I won't waste your time on it now, but he underthrows him once. Remember, CD came all the way back and caught it and got fouled as he was catching it, got interfered with. But he's gone for a touchdown. If you throw it 5 yards farther, we're having a different conversation. They script out a play whereby you get CeeDee Lamb on Fred Warner, who can run, but he can't run like CeeDee can. And it's right down the middle of the football field. And he just threw it wide left and low and away. It was a terrible throw.
Just put it over the top and let him run up.
Lay it up. I promise you he'll outrun Fred Warner. And Fred Warner is really good, but he's a linebacker. And then what about the last throw to Gallup? Gallup is a no-show the whole game. And all of a sudden, They ignore him. And all of a sudden, he runs by the other corner.
Yep.
He is gone for a touchdown. He's a long strider. He was unfurled. And Dak just completely, woefully threw it behind him and way short, wide right.
Yep. I look, it's hard to do anything consistently in sports. If you throw an interception or you have at least one turnover in 7 straight games, that's what you are. Because I guarantee you, if somebody catches a touchdown pass, they're going to say, oh, he's a touchdown maker. Dak throws an interception, at least one in 7 straight games.
Yep.
In 3 of those 7, he threw pick sixes.
He did.
But we're going to disregard that.
And by the way, at the end of the 49er game, he threw one that should have been pick 6.
That would have ended the game a lot sooner than what it did.
That is correct. We wouldn't have had the embarrassment of the final play because they'd been celebrating down in the end zone.
Exactly. Right? So with that being said, Skip, at some point in time, Dak's going to have to wear the hat. He's going to have to wear the accountability, and I get it. You know, I got to do a better job of protecting the football. But at some point in time, we got to stop having these kinds of discussions at the end of the season. You keep telling me what you need, what you're not going to do again, and what you're going to be better at. At some point in time, I'm going to need to see the results of the change that you say you're undertaking in the offseason.
Okay. Well, he just gave the keys to the kingdom to one Mike McCarthy, as I call him. Please drop the Mike McCarthy. So here we go into a brave new world with Mike completely in control at the helm.
Okay.
Whew.
Then what happens if you're worse than what you were last year? Then what?
We're still stuck with Mike and Dak, right? I don't know. And is he going to go spend on big free agent tickets? No, he's not going to do that.
No.
He's sticking with his draft pick.
He better save that money because CD want money.
Yep.
And guess who coming up next year?
Micah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you know he ain't coming at no discount.
No.
So
he is going to want to get paid.
Yeah.
That's for sure. No doubt about that one. All right, guys, back to the hardwood we go. Did the